Bitcoin has just had the highest daily candle close ever for the history of price action. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the possibility of a continuation well above 120,000, our macro top dates and targets, the short-term price action, and even exactly what will need to happen to confirm a top and result in a macro downtrend. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, MegaWhale team, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're all having an amazing week. In today's video, we are taking a look at the recent price action for Bitcoin, discussing the weekly and daily charts, the short-term price action, the altcoin and total market cap, and of course, the possibility for a green Feb. Before we get into it, smash that like button, hit that comment button, and subscribe to the channel. We post daily videos for Bitcoin focusing on the facts, the data, the technical, and the structural information. No hype, no BS, no emotion, pure raw TA. By the end of today's video, you'll have a deep and detailed understanding of exactly what is going on and what is likely to occur next. If this is the kind of content you were interested in, you can also join us on Telegram. That is the first link down below. You'll get access to charts, updates, videos, educational posts, news events, and everything you need to stay in the loop with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, and the relevant economic news. And if you are interested in taking your trading to the next level, join us on VIP. You can click the pinned comment in the free channel, click my name, or the two links to find our entire trading track record, or a 10-minute video showing you inside the channel. The VIP channel has been running for 50 plus months with over 700 members. You'll get access to trade setups with exact entries, exact targets, exact stop losses, trade justification, exclusive analysis, and so much more, including access to all of our group chats, our general chat, our trading chart and education chat, our daily video, help, news, and trade setup chat. Check that out, guys. Join up and let's jump back in. So if you paid attention to our prior video, we discussed that Bitcoin was retesting a very important level, and that level was, of course, the daily downtrending support level, as depicted by this trend line. Not only were we retesting that trend line, we were also retesting the point of confluence at that $99,000 to $100,000 support. And we discussed the possibility of this level acting as a major reversal point, as annotated by this chart here. We can see we expected that reversal toward a new all-time high, and we saw Bitcoin pretty much exactly do that, pushing into that $110,000 region, creating a new all-time high. Since then, we've had a lot of volatility in the short-term price action following, again, the news in the US, the presidential inauguration day, all of the different things that have been going on around cryptocurrency and, of course, around the global media, has caused a little bit of a stir in the asset market for Bitcoin over here, seeing the price action swing massive amounts on the short term and on the intraday movements. But we can still see here on the daily, Bitcoin is sustaining above that $100,000 level, and we are seeing the price action pushing above that prior weekly high at 104.4K with just 5 days remaining on that weekly candle. So all in all, excluding the volatility, the price action is looking pretty solid on the higher time frames if we can look past this short-term chop. We're going to be coming back to all these charts in just a moment. The total market cap and the total altcoin market are still looking pretty decent. And if we move over to our monthly returns, we can actually see we are moving into Feb now with about 8 days remaining. And Feb historically is actually one of the greenest months of the year for cryptocurrency and for Bitcoin. So that could set us up for a potential, move toward the upside in February. Now, history doesn't always repeat, but it often does rhyme. Now, moving over to the market data, we can see liquidations are down 63%, sitting at 299 million, and volume is down 45% at 289 billion, still very high for the 24 hours. Looking at liquidations on the long side, 163 million and 136 million on the short side, again showing a indication there of how volatile the price action has been on the short term. We can still see here just on the hourly chart and even on the 15-minute chart how choppy and how swingy this price action has been since the 20th of this month. Moving over to the broader markets, the DXY is still showing signs of a bit of strength over here. Not all that much happening though on the DXY. We are still sitting above that major level at that 108 resistance. We are expecting, while this level is able to sustain a support, we will continue upwards, but we have reached our 110 target. So if we do see a break below the support level, this will be marked as deviation, and then we will be expecting the DXY to correct. This massively depends on what happens surrounding the interest rates in 7 days' time, particularly the Federal Reserve press conference following the interest rate decision and how they move towards their future expectations surrounding inflation and interest rate reductions. If they lean heavier into bringing inflation down, that by nature is contradictory to reducing interest rates, and we will see the DXY rally and assets fall. But if they move towards reducing interest rates, announcing that inflation is moving towards where they want it to go, we will see interest rates reduce, we will see the dollar decrease in value, we will see inflation rise, and with that, asset prices will rally into February and beyond. So we do have a lot resting on the monetary policy, and more so the expected future monetary policy, which we'll find out more about on the meeting, of course, in a few days. So keep that in mind. Moving over to the S&P 500, the S&P 500 here, we can see on the weekly chart, is looking pretty good now. We can actually see we are coming up to retest this major level of resistance. This is going to be, let's just go ahead and remove these lines, the weekly high, right? And we announced that we need two things to be bullish on the S&P 500 again. We need to see the weekly high break, which we are currently retesting, and we need to see the RSI downtrend break upwards. Both of those things occurring will, in our eyes, signify the strength is back and the probabilities for continuations higher are on the table. So pay attention. We're getting pretty close, and we know if the S&P 500 goes up, the stock market and cryptocurrency are correlated to a degree of around 70%. So we're likely to see the rest of the traditional assets rise as well. This is again potentially leading into a bullish February. So all in all, looking pretty decent on the broader markets. Let's move over to Bitcoin, guys. Now, before we get into Bitcoin, go ahead and sign up to BitGet, BitUnix, or BingX with the exchange links down below. You'll get a lifetime trading fee discount of 15% off all your trading fees, which can build up to 45%. And most importantly, you'll be supporting yourself in your trading journey. You'll be trading where I trade, and you'll support me making these videos. Check it out, sign up, it takes a few moments, and we'll jump back in. If you are looking for a new exchange or just want to support the channel, sign up to BitUnix with the link down below. You'll get a lifetime trading fee discount of 15%, which can build up to 45% based on your trading volume, as well as access to a bonus reward center, and of course, all of the exclusive campaigns we run on this exchange. You'll also get access to BitUnix being a non-KYC exchange, meaning you can sign up from anywhere in the globe without regulations. And most importantly, I only promote exchanges I trust and I use. As you can see, I trade on BitUnix very regularly, being the highest VIP level with over $500 million in trading volume for the last 30 days. And lastly, if you were interested in signing up to our other two exchanges, BingX or BitGet, you can also do that via the links down below. You as well will get the 15% trading fee discount and everything else that comes with it. Go ahead and sign up. Thank you for supporting. Let's jump back in. Okay, legends, let's jump back into it. And as we have just been filming, Bitcoin has closed the highest daily candle it has ever closed in the history of price action, closing at a price of, let's take a look, $106,113. This is very slightly higher than the prior highest close of around $106,072. So a brand new all-time high on the daily close for Bitcoin. Great to see, and it was great to capture that as we have been filming. Now, as we know, and as we've mentioned many times, for us to be confident in continuations on the higher time frame, we will need to see a weekly high. And a weekly high we are looking for is simply going to be a weekly candle close above the prior weekly high at 104.46. If we are able to close a weekly candle above this level, it is very likely that this horizontal consolidation range, this chop range we have been in since November, will be breaking toward the upside, and we will see a continuation closer to 120,000. Now, if you recall all the way back to our videos, and we're talking a very, very long time ago, we're talking videos we made back in January, February 2023, our three targets for Bitcoin was 96K as an initial local top, $121,000 for a top in March to April 2025, and if we see the 4-year cycle play out, the top expectation on the 6th of October will be around 156,000. So 96,000, 121, and 156 were our initial targets. We held ever since all the way at the bottom. We have of course reached to 96,000. We are now moving to 121,000, provided we see this what we would call accumulation, this consolidation, fulfill toward the upside. If we move over to our macro charts, we have got our 12 to 18 bar theory. The 12 to 18 bar theory takes two key horizontal points on the charts. Point number one is going to be an all-time high point. Point number two is the dead cat bounce high point. We take that from both prior cycles, measuring the distance in months from the point of which those horizontal levels broke to the next all-time high. We apply those distances to the current cycle from those key horizontal points. That gives us a date range top of March to April 2025, and we can see we are coming into that date. So we are expecting 121,000 between March to April 2025 still for Bitcoin, where we may create a top for Bitcoin. Will that be a macro top, or will that be a local top? That is something we will have to wait and see. But as we can see, all in all, provided we see this continuation upwards, that target for us is going to be just into the $120,000 region. Now, at what point will we be invalidating this target? If we see a weekly close below 93,700, the weekly range low, right? This is the weekly range high. This is the weekly range low. In our opinion, that would indicate to us that we are going to see a correction lower, and that could mark a top for Bitcoin on the macro charts. As a consequence of the break of 93K, we would likely see the total market cap lose the prior 2021 all-time high, which we'll discuss in a second, and we will most definitely see the RSI on the weekly break below the 62.09 point. Now, if we look historically, every time we drop below this point, we see about a 15 to 70% correction depending on when we actually see those pullbacks for Bitcoin. So historically, a loss of the 62.09 point on the RSI has always led to a significant sell-off for Bitcoin, those sell-offs lasting between a week to even a few months. So very important we sustain above that weekly low. Let's zoom back in to the daily chart now. As we can see, the daily chart is looking very healthy, provided we are able to sustain and create these lower highs. The lower high points we are now watching are going to be this next level at 102 to 102.5. We'll go to our short-term chart in a second. As we can see, we broke through that resistance. We had the positive momentum shift on the RSI. Let's go ahead and bring that up in just a second. We had that RSI trend line matching, okay? Matching the peaks of the price action to the peaks on the RSI. We had the positive momentum shift and breakout. We saw a continuation upwards, a retest of the 100K support, a retest of the RSI trend line, and now we are seeing a move to a higher high over here. So provided we are able to sustain at a minimum point above $100,000, we are expecting a weekly close above that 104 and continuations. Only upon the loss of 100,000 would we then expect the price action to move into the range between 86,000 and 99K. And of course, as we just mentioned, a loss of 86,000 on the daily, on the short term, would increase the probability of a weekly close below the weekly range low at 93, and thus a macro continuation downwards. So Bitcoin is looking pretty decent, okay? Bitcoin as a whole is looking good. The short term is another question. The short term is very volatile. We will most likely see large swings up and down over here for quite some time, particularly moving into this interest rate decision. Now, the interest rate decision is going to play a massive role in determining where Bitcoin chooses to go in macro. As we know, policy stipulates demand. So it's very hard to sit here and say Bitcoin is most definitely going to continue upwards in Feb, because if we see the economic policy change to the worse, we could see corrections. But if we see the policy develop to a more optimistic future with more interest rate reductions, it is highly likely we see the asset market aggressively rally. And we can see, just based on how Bitcoin is developing and how the S&P 500 is developing and the DXY is developing, it does look like the market is becoming more optimistic or more prepared for that upward swing. So we have to take that at face value, as the market sometimes has a way at predicting what the news will be based on how it develops. So we have to be aware of that as well. Let's move over to our macro charts. Now, we mentioned the total market cap in a few of our videos, and a total market cap is a great tool at predicting and just overall getting a good understanding of how cryptocurrency is going as a whole. The total market cap as a whole is bullish, and therefore we should be optimistic for cryptocurrency. Now, altcoins is a different story. We'll come to altcoins in a second, okay? But for Bitcoin and for the total market cap, Bitcoin being about 58% of the market capitalization, we're looking pretty good. Now, we will remain looking pretty good. Actually, we're looking very good. We'll remain looking very good, provided the 2021 high at 3.01 trillion is able to sustain a support. If we lose the 2021 high point, we will be then expecting a top and a high time frame correction for Bitcoin. But provided we sustain above, which we currently are, we are expecting macro continuations. That is the most likely scenario, okay? Only upon the break of a horizontal high would we mark this as deviation, okay? And only upon deviation will we expect a reversal in the trend. So if we're looking at the 2021 cycle, and the 2020 breakout, we saw a very similar thing. A break of the prior 2018 high resulted in a strong move up, followed by a correction, followed by a strong move up. What have we seen? A break of the 2021 high, a strong move up, a strong correction, followed by a potentially strong move up. So we are watching this high point very closely, and we'll remain bullish on Bitcoin, provided the high time frame charts depict that, provided these range lows are able to sustain as support. And as we mentioned already, if we look at that RSI, we can already see we've absorbed a lot of that selling pressure as that momentum has gone and flipped positive. Even if we move to a weekly chart, we can see already the momentum is looking very, very strong still. The price action is very much moving into those weekly closes. So all in all, looking pretty solid, looking pretty strong. Let's quickly move into the short term, the immediate price action, then take a look at the altcoins and then wrap it up. So the immediate price action is a whole different ballgame, guys. The price action is incredibly choppy. Now, we talked about a particular trend line in our prior video, which was, I believe it was this trend line here. Now, as we can see, we have, we've dropped below this trend line, we've bounced back above it, but more or less, we are sitting above this level on the hourly. We are still watching this trend line on the hourly. If we do drop below this level on the hourly, we would expect a correction into that $100,000 region. Until then, we could see swings back into these lows and continuations. We are watching closely at that level. So pay attention to that level. Again, this price action is not moving in any fashionable structural formations. It is respecting our horizontal levels on the higher time frame, but not on the shorter time frame, as we can see a lot of wicks. So it's very hard to sit here and say where it's going to go. We have to be more about watching the reactions at these levels of support. It is more about how does the price action react to these demand levels and these resistance levels when these price points are reached. We can say, guys, if we are able to push through this weekly high here, or even this daily high here, it is very likely Bitcoin will continue to fill this wick and move toward the upside. So pay attention to that. Let's move over to altcoin market. The altcoin market, we've said it many times, we'll say it again. The total market cap is not always the best indication of your altcoins in your bag, because the total market cap is a representation of the entirety of the cryptocurrency market minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. And as we know, every day there are like 10,000 new altcoins, which soak up a lot of that money, soak up a lot of that supply. Some of that money exits the market, some of that money rotates into new coins, etc., etc. But as cryptocurrency progresses, as regulation really isn't there yet for anyone basically creating a coin out of thin air, we are going to see a lot of this money essentially get dispersed among many places, and many more places as we see more coins develop. So with that, excessive spread or thinning of the supply of the market capitalization across many coins, we do generally see the individual coin, unless it is a significant overperformer for external news related events or other, purchasing events from whales or whatever, it is likely these altcoins aren't going to be performing as well as the total market cap, particularly the total altcoin market cap. And that's fine. That's okay, right? We're not really expecting to see a 2021 cycle for every altcoin simply because there are so many more altcoins this cycle. But that doesn't mean altcoins can't have their moments in the sun. Now, the next moment in the sun for altcoins, and the altcoin market will most likely move upwards and Bitcoin dominance will likely correct and altcoins will go in a more of a strong move upwards, will be when that $1.13 trillion level breaks, which is the 2021 high point. If we are able to clear that level, break above that level, it is likely that is when altcoins will have their next moment in the sun and see those macro continuations back upwards, at least for a few weeks or a few months at a time. Okay, guys, thank you for tuning in. Have a fantastic day. Catch you tomorrow. See you then.